Okay, thank you for watching the PlayRX overview of our Garrett field check form. This will be a brief overview going through kind of a walkthrough information that we would like our dealers to take on the field check form. This field check form is used in situations where maybe a school or a gymnasium wants to replace old equipment. Possibly a new building is built and they want to install basketball hoops, curtains, or even ceiling suspended structures. So to start things off, the first thing on this form you'll want to do is mark how you're looking at the diagram and what north is. You can do that up here in the circle with an arrow. The next thing, as you can see, is just fill out as much as the diagram asks in terms of dims. Not all of this will pertain to some situations. Some courts might not have side courts, but some of the main information that we need is the face of bank, which is the wall to the front of the backboard, the length and width of the entire gymnasium, and then also dimensions of the court as well, if it's high school, MBA, or anything like that, maybe a custom size depending on the size or layout of the facility. On page 2, you'll see you'll need to label what structure you're utilizing and if the trussing or structure runs parallel or perpendicular to your court. As you can see, there's 3 different types of structures provided on this form: a peak structure, a slope structure, as well as a flat roof or structure. Depending on what structure you have, you'll fill out some of the important information. As you can see on the peak, it asks for quite a few measurements, such as floor to the bottom of the peak, floor to the center of the peak, your first truss spacing between the center of the peak and your first truss spacing between trusses, this dimension between your wall and the first truss, and then again your floor to ceiling and floor to peak, or your corner peak measurement. Slope structures are a little bit easier. All you need is your floor to ceiling measurement on the bottom of the floor, or the slope, and their floor to ceiling measurement on the top of the slope, as well as floor to truss measurement on the bottom and top of the slope. Again, mark if your structure is running parallel or perpendicular to your floor. On a flat roof, one of the easiest to take measurements for, you're just looking for your spacing or measurement between your wall and where your truss or structure starts on both sides, and then a floor to truss measurement and a floor to ceiling measurement. On the last page, all that we need filled out and indicated is which way your trusses are running compared to your court, and given which one, you just need to take a wall to your first truss measurement, your total spacing between your first truss and your last truss, and then again your wall to your first truss measurement. Again, the last is showed north, and we give an example measurement of how to measure B in both circumstances. So to look over just some images of some jobs that we've done and run over kind of why and where we might need certain measurements. The first one is just something simple like wall mount. As you can see, there's some key points here. There's windows at the top. It looks like your concrete structure or your first wall ends where this last top wood buck is, as well as you have court lines. So if they wanted to replace this, you definitely need to measure from your wall to your court line, so we know where we're going to be extending this hoop to. In addition, we'll probably need a floor to that ceiling or that cutoff of that wall, so we know if we have enough space for all of our wood bucks, or if we need to make something custom given the situation. Another good image is here's a peak structure. An example of why taking all these measurements is so important. As you can see, we've got a top row curtain which needs to be laid out flat, and then there needed to be drop structures. So in order to manufacture this drop structure, we needed to know the exact dimensions of where this direct attachment structure was all the way across the gymnasium. Another good example of just a flat structure or a flat roof is this one. As you can see, the trusses are running perpendicular to the court. So in order to get the hoop where it needed to be in between trusses, we spanned the trusses and ran pipe parallel to the court, and then hung our hoop in between those two trusses and where that court layout was. So that's just a good example. Very easy install here. As you can tell, it's a front folding, front braced ceiling mounted unit. It also has a height adjuster on it as well. So that pretty much gives you a good idea of how to fill out the field check form if you're going into a situation where somebody is needing ceiling hung units or ceiling hung curtains, or just somebody who might give you a ring and say, hey, I'm trying to build a facility or trying to update a building and put some courts in. Make sure to take this form along and get it filled out, or get as much information as possible so our estimating team and our sales team can get you an accurate quote that you can get to your customer. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to email me at andrew@garrettsports.com, and I'd love to hear back from you. Thanks.